What if I told you that the secret to more energy, a sharper mind, and a body that ages slower isn't sitting inside some expensive supplement bottle or hidden behind a complicated workout routine, but instead it's sitting right inside your kitchen? Today we're talking about something that most doctors never bring up in a routine checkup, something that the latest science is calling one of the most powerful levers you can pull to transform how you feel at a cellular level. We're talking about making brand new mitochondria. And yes, your body can actually do that. It's called mitochondrial biogenesis, and certain foods can trigger it. So stay with me, because by the end of this video, you're going to know exactly which 7 foods to start eating and the science behind why they work. I'm Dr. Thomas, and if you're new here, welcome. This channel is all about giving you evidence-based practical health information that you can actually use in your real life. Now let's get into it. First, let's talk about why your mitochondria matter so much. Think of mitochondria as the tiny power plants living inside almost every cell of your body. They take the food you eat and the oxygen you breathe and convert them into ATP, adenosine triphosphate, which is literally the currency your body uses for energy, for heartbeat. Every thought, every time you climb a flight of stairs, that's your mitochondria at work. Now, here's what nobody tells you. As you age, your mitochondria become fewer, smaller, and less efficient. This is one of the biggest reasons people feel exhausted all the time, why brain fog sets in, why muscles feel weaker, and why recovery from exercise takes longer. Mitochondrial dysfunction has also been linked to metabolic disease, neurodegeneration, cardiovascular disease, and accelerated aging. So when we talk about making new mitochondria, we're talking about one of the most fundamental things you can do for your long-term health. And here's the good news. Your body has a biological process built specifically for creating new healthy mitochondria. It's called mitochondrial biogenesis, and it's primarily driven by a molecule called PGC1 alpha, sometimes called the master regulator of mitochondrial biogenesis. When PGC1 alpha gets activated, it signals your DNA to start producing new mitochondria. Exercise activates it, cold exposure activates it, and certain foods and compounds found in food activate it powerfully. So let's go through the 7. The first food is fatty fish, and I'm talking specifically about wild-caught salmon, mackerel, sardines, and herring. These fish are loaded with omega-3 fatty acids, particularly EPA and DHA. And the research here is genuinely impressive. A study published in the Journal of Physiology found that omega-3 supplementation significantly increased mitochondrial oxidative capacity in skeletal muscle. What the omega-3s are doing is activating a receptor in your cells called PPR gamma, a nuclear receptor that works hand in hand with PGC1 alpha to drive mitochondrial biogenesis. On top of that, omega-3s reduce the inflammation that damages your existing mitochondria in the first place. So you're not only building new power plants, you're protecting the ones you already have. I recommend eating fatty fish at least 2 to 3 times per week. If you don't eat fish, a high-quality fish oil supplement standardized for EPA and DHA is a solid alternative, but whole food is always going to be better because you're getting coactors and nutrients that supplements simply can't replicate. The second food is blueberries. Now, before you roll your eyes and think, okay, another superfood, let me give you the actual mechanism, because this one is fascinating. Blueberries are rich in polyphenols called anthocyanins, the compounds responsible for that deep blue-purple color. These anthocyanins activate a cellular pathway called AM-activated protein kinase. Think of as your cell's energy sensor. When EMPK is activated, it perceives a state of low energy and responds by triggering mitochondrial biogenesis to produce more ATP. It essentially tells your cells, we need more power plants, let's build them. Research published in the Journal of Nutritional Biochemistry showed that blueberry supplementation in animal models led to measurable increases in PGC1 alpha expression and mitochondrial density in muscle tissue. And human studies are catching up to confirm these effects. A cup of fresh or frozen blueberries daily is an easy, delicious way to get this benefit. Frozen blueberries are fine. Actually, the freezing process can make some of the polyphenols more bioavailable. The third food might surprise you. It's green tea. Specifically, the compound in green tea called EGCG, which stands for epigallitocin gallate. EGCG is one of the most studied plant compounds in existence, and one of its most powerful actions is its ability to inhibit an enzyme called COMT, which breaks down catecholamines like norepinephrine. By inhibiting COMT, EGCG increases norepinephrine levels, and norepinephrine is a powerful activator of PGC1 alpha. So you're essentially creating a cascade that ends in the production of new mitochondria. Research from the University of Colorado and other institutions has shown that EGCG increases fatty acid oxidation and mitochondrial efficiency. It also activates EMPK, the same pathway we talked about with blueberries. And here's a bonus. EGCG also has a remarkable ability to induce autophagy, your body's cellular cleaning process, which clears out old damaged mitochondria so new ones can take their place. 2 to 3 cups of high-quality green tea per day, ideally matcha, which has a much higher concentration of EGCG, can make a real difference. The fourth food is one that I personally love talking about because the science behind it is so underappreciated, and that's olive oil, extra virgin olive oil specifically. The key compound here is oleoanthal, a polyphenol that has remarkable anti-inflammatory properties, and another compound called aleuropine. Research has shown that these polyphenols in extra virgin olive oil activate ST1, a sirtuin protein that is deeply involved in mitochondrial biogenesis and longevity signaling. Sirtuins are sometimes called longevity genes, and when CRT1 gets activated, it directly deacetylates and activates PGC1 alpha, which again drives the creation of new mitochondria. A study in the journal Redux Biology demonstrated that olive oil polyphenols enhanced mitochondrial function and biogenesis in cellular models. The key here is quality. You need real high-quality extra virgin olive oil, not the refined or blended oils that dominate grocery store shelves. Look for a cloudy aromatic oil with a harvest date on the label. Use 2 to 3 tablespoons per day. Drizzle it on vegetables. Use it as a finishing oil on your proteins, or mix it into a dressing. Just don't cook with it at extremely high temperatures because that degrades the polyphenols you're trying to get. The fifth food is one that's been used in traditional medicine for thousands of years and is now being validated by modern biochemistry, and that's turmeric, specifically its active compound curcumin. Here's what's happening at the cellular level. Curcumin activates NRF2 nuclear factor, erythroid 2-related factor 2, which is your body's master antioxidant switch. It also directly activates PGC1 alpha and has been shown to increase mitochondrial membrane potential, which is essentially a measure of how well your mitochondria are functioning. A 2021 study in the journal Oxidative Medicine and Cellular Longevity showed that curcumin supplementation significantly upregulated mitochondrial biogenesis markers. The problem with curcumin is its bioavailability. Your body doesn't absorb it well on its own. The solution is to always combine turmeric with black pepper, which contains a compound called piperine that increases curcumin absorption by up to 2,000%. Adding a fat source helps too, since curcumin is fat-soluble. A golden milk latte with turmeric, black pepper, and a fat source like coconut milk is actually a legitimate science-backed drink when you understand the biochemistry. The sixth food is one I think is criminally underrated in the health space, and that is dark leafy greens, specifically spinach, kale, Swiss chard, and arugula. These greens are rich in nitrates. Now, dietary nitrates are converted in your body into nitric oxide, and nitric oxide does something remarkable. It signals mitochondrial biogenesis. Research published in the Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences showed that nitrate supplementation from vegetables increased mitochondrial density and improved energy efficiency in skeletal muscle. The Nobel Prize in Medicine in 1998 was actually awarded for the discovery of nitric oxide as a signaling molecule. So we are talking about serious, well-established science here. Dark leafy greens also contain magnesium, which is a critical coactor for over 300 enzymatic reactions in the body, including those involved in ATP production. If your magnesium is low, your mitochondria literally cannot do their job properly. Aim for at least 2 to 3 large servings of dark leafy greens per day. The easiest way is to throw a couple of large handfuls into a morning smoothie where you won't even taste them. The seventh food brings us to something a little different, and that's dark chocolate, specifically cacao, with a cocoa content of 70% or higher. I know it sounds too good to be true, but the research is real. Cacao contains flavonoids, particularly epicotetin, which has been shown to directly stimulate mitochondrial biogenesis in muscle tissue. A landmark study published in the Journal of Physiology found that epicetin from cacao increased the ratio of mitochondria to muscle fibers and improved markers of mitochondrial capacity. This was in both human and animal subjects. Epicetin also activates nitric oxide signaling, increases activity, and reduces oxidative stress in mitochondria. The key word here is dark. Milk chocolate has minimal epicetin and comes with a lot of sugar that will blunt these effects. You want dark chocolate with 70% cacao content or higher, ideally 85% or more. A square or two per day gives you a meaningful dose of epic attention without going overboard on calories. Now, I want to give you one important piece of context before we wrap up. Food is powerful, genuinely powerful, but it works synergistically with lifestyle. The research on mitochondrial biogenesis is very clear that exercise, particularly high-intensity interval training and endurance exercise, is the most potent trigger for PGC1 alpha activation that we know of. Food amplifies this signal. So think of these 7 foods as multipliers on top of an active lifestyle, not a replacement for one. And sleep also matters enormously. Your mitochondria go through critical repair processes during deep sleep, and managing chronic stress is non-negotiable because cortisol in excess is toxic to mitochondria. So let me quickly recap the 7 fatty fish for omega-3s that activate PPR gamma and reduce mitochondrial inflammation. Blueberries for anthocyanins that activate EMPK and trigger biogenesis. Green tea and matcha for EGCG that elevates norepinephrine and activates PGC1 alpha. Extra virgin olive oil for oleoenthal and ullopian that activates SIRT and longevity pathways. Turmeric with black pepper for curcumin that activates NRF2 and directly stimulates PGC1 alpha. Dark leafy greens for nitrates that generate nitric oxide and drive mitochondrial density, and dark chocolate for epicin that triggers biogenesis and improves mitochondrial capacity in muscle. These aren't magic foods, but they are foods backed by real peer-reviewed science that work on real measurable biological pathways. When you eat this way consistently, not perfectly, but consistently, you are giving your cells the raw materials and signaling molecules they need to build a healthier, more energy-efficient biology from the inside out. From the inside out. If you found this video valuable, please give it a like because it genuinely helps this channel reach more people who could benefit from this kind of content. Share it with someone who's been complaining about low energy or brain fog because chances are their mitochondria need some attention.